The Embraer original jets are equipped with an auxiliary power unit, or APU. You can easily see the APU air inlet near the rudder, and the APU exhaust outlet at the end of the tail cone. The APU is normally used on the ground to provide pneumatic and electrical power when the engines are not in operation. Because the APU is a gas turbine engine, it develops high air suction. This is reason for great concern as regards foreign object ingestion by the APUs. As with any aviation engine, foreign object ingestion can cause considerable damage to the internal components of the APU, as shown by the damaged impeller blades. The impeller blades were damaged by the ingestion of a large amount of de-icing fluid by the APU during a de-icing operation with the APU running. This kind of damage may not be determined purely by reading APU RPM and EGT. Borescope inspection and a characteristic high-pitch noise are the methods of diagnosing an APU machine for impeller blade damage. The ingestion of a small amount of combustible de-icing fluid can increase the temperature at the turbine and cause turbine shaft overspeed. A large amount of combustible de-icing fluid can damage the APU internal components and even cause a complete APU disintegration. The ingestion of de-icing fluids can also cause smoke in the passenger cabin, leading to a flight cancellation or to an emergency evacuation. Consequently, you should be careful not to spray de-icing fluid directly into the APU air inlet or adjacent areas from which the fluid could spill or flow into the APU inlet. Direct fluid application is the principal cause of foreign object ingestion, but the fluid can go into the APU inlet by many other ways. When you apply a large volume of fluid onto the horizontal stabilizer, excess fluid can flow over the leading edge and drip into the APU inlet. This can occur mainly when spraying fluid from behind the tail. When you apply fluid on the rudder, the spill caused by the splashing of the high-pressure jet onto the rudder will cause a lot of fluid to get into the APU. The same pattern of ingestion is caused when side spraying the underside of the horizontal stabilizer. When you apply fluid over the fuselage or the engine nacelle to remove frost or snow, excess fluid can flow into the APU inlet. This can cause damage to the impeller blades, as previously shown. The following guidelines should be followed to prevent fluid ingestion by the APU. Under no circumstances should it be construed that these instructions overrule the requirements for proper de-icing and anti-icing of the ERJ aircraft. The clean aircraft concept must be observed. No aircraft may take off with frozen contaminants adhering to its critical surface. Whenever possible, turn the aircraft into the wind. This will help in blowing the horizontal stabilizer dripping away from the APU inlet. Heavier deposits of snow will be difficult to remove, and vast quantities of fluid will be used. Serious consideration should be given to manual removal of deposits with long, soft brooms or compressed air. Never spray de-icing and anti-icing fluids directly into the APU air inlet and exhaust outlet. Do not allow the spray to reach the APU inlet, APU exhaust, or adjacent areas. Care is especially required when spraying hot fluid, and surfaces cannot be seen behind the vapor cloud normally generated when the fluid is hot and at cold ambient temperatures. Fluid survey and tests revealed that the best and recommended position to prevent or avoid fluid ingestion is between 0 and full nose down. The spray flow normally cascades downwards and aft, thus keeping the leading edge free of the drip that causes fluid ingestion into the APU. However, operators are reminded to frequently inspect surfaces for residue as prescribed in the SNL 145-30-0006. This is applicable mainly for fluid types 2, 3, and 4, which may leave residue on the aerodynamic quiet areas. Spray the fluid in a forward to aft direction when spraying in the lower or upper stabilizer surface. This will carry fluid to the trailing edge of the horizontal stabilizer and prevent dripping over the APU. Straight spraying, cleaning from the stabilizer tip to the root, will make the fluid flow aft away from the leading edge area. Spray trucks may be restricted by confined airport ramps or by airline standards, where getting close to the airplane to provide straight spraying would impair the operation. Spray angles up to 45 degrees are acceptable, provided the stabilizer is set to full nose down. Cross-spraying the upper side of the stabilizer, truck positioned on the left side of the airplane, aiming the spray at the right elevator and/or stabilizer, has been proven also to be very effective in removing contaminants and preventing fluids from flowing down into the APU. De-icing and anti-icing fluids must not be sprayed directly onto the trailing edges of the horizontal stabilizer. As well, spraying from aft, back spraying, is not recommended as the flow may direct fluid into the APU. Precipitation accumulated in the APU plenum and inlet duct may be difficult to remove and may cause APU flameout during starting. Accumulation of foreign matter may cause damage to the APU internal parts. APU air inlet or outlet covers must be installed if the airplane is subject to precipitation of snow, freezing rain and drizzle, ice pellets, etc. The previous instructions for APU utilization during and after fluid application still prevail. If application with the APU running is necessary, the engine bleed, the APU bleed, and the air conditioning packs must be off. Turn the bleed system on for 1 minute after fluid application, and the air conditioning pack for 3 minutes after the fluid has been applied. Certain aircraft require unique procedures to accommodate design differences for proper application of de-icing and anti-icing fluids. You should know the correct location of the APU and use the correct method to de-ice or anti-ice the airplane's tail region. The procedures previously discussed should be used as a guideline to help you prevent foreign object damage to the APU. Every reasonable precaution should be taken to minimize fluid entry into the APU.